Assalamualaikum. My name is Tengku Fatimah Atika binti Tengku Ismail and my metric number is 270298. So for complete my individual assignment IFS, which is about the task where we need to talk about issue related IFS. So today I will talk about buy Al-Dayn contract is Sharia compliant or not. So recently I had an assignment where I had to explain about the contract provided by the bank, and one of the contract was related to buy Al-Dayn, and I find some issue or opinion that the contract is not based on Sharia and should not be used in the Islamic financial system. So before that, we will see what is the definition of buy Al-Dayn and how it works actually. So we will first look at the definition of buy Al-Dayn. By the literal meaning, buy Al-Dayn can be translated as the sale of debt, and some scholars have defined it in a different way. For example, Khatib Mustafa have defined it as a type of sale contract in which the creditor sells his payable right upon the debtor, either to the debtor himself or to a third party. And the other scholar is Mufti Taqi Usmani. Taqi Usmani describes sale of debt with following words. If a person has a debt receivable from a person and he wants to sell it at a discount, as normally happens in the bill of exchange, it termed in Sharia as buy Al-Dayn. This reveals that this debt is usually sold out at the discount price to the buyer. And then next, the urban definition on buy Al-Dayn is different from the previous two definition. He mentioned exchanging what has proven open the responsibility by the asset, and the meaning of the phrase what is proven open the responsibility as the debt or the payable right of the person. Asset here mean all kinds of property, and it follows from this definition that a debt can be sold by money or any other property or by the debt itself, as it as one kind of the property, meaning selling the debt by another debt. However, the Sharia Advisory Council of Security Commission in Malaysia provided a specific definition of buy Al-Dayn, which is being practiced in Malaysia. They stated, in the context of Islamic capital market, buy Al-Dayn is the principle of selling the dayn which result from muawadat maliyah contract, which is exchange contract such as Murabahah by Bitaman Ajil BBA, Ijarah Mutiyah Bitamlik, and the others. So now we will see the example of operation of buy Al-Dayn that has been illustrated. So let's say if Encik Aziz has sold a house to Encik Bahar for 100,000 on deferred payment term 1st January 2009, and Encik Bahar has promised to Encik Aziz that he will pay the amount on 1st December 2009. So, Encik Aziz now has the right of debt amounting to 100,000 on Encik Bahar's liabilities. So afterward, on 1st July 2009, Encik Aziz sell his debt right, which is 100,000 to Miss Chia at discount price of 90,000 on a spot basis. Thus, Miss Chia will get 100,000 from Encik Bahar on 1st December 2009. And by this way, she will get the profit of 10,000. This is the example of sale of debt to the third party with cash price. So here we can sum up that buy Al-Dayn is the sale of debt either to the debtor or to the third party, usually at the discount price by cash or by another debt. Based on the previous discussion of buy Al-Dayn has mainly two forms, which are the first one was the sale of debt with cash price that can be divided into two categories. Sale of debt with cash price to the debtor, and the second one was sale of debt with cash price to the third party. And the second category was the sale of debt with deferred price. It also has divided into two divisions. The first one was sale of debt with deferred price to the debtor, and the second one was sale of debt with deferred price to the third party. And the permissibility of buy Al-Dayn has created a foremost disagreement among the scholars. Some scholars permit prohibited buy Al-Dayn in general, and one on the other hand, some discuss about the permissibility of buy Al-Dayn in depth and differentiate their rulings in accordance with its various forms and features. Whether the debt is sold at cash or deferred price, to the debtor or to the third party. So based on the study, we know that by Al-Dayn, which is a responsibility on the debtor to pay, is a commodity, and the scholar have disagreed on the permissibility of selling by Al-Dayn in its four features. Firstly, in selling debt to the debtor with cash price, scholar have divided into three opinions to permit it in Sharia. And reviewing and the argument and evidence of the three groups, it is concluded that the sale of debt to the debtor with cash price should be valid in a condition that the debt is confirmed. And then, secondly, selling debt to the third party with cash price is also having three different opinions among the classical jurists. This feature of selling debt is a matter of dispute among the modern scholar at this time. This is because the recent practice of this feature of sale of debt in Malaysian capital market. And having discussed the argument and evidence of the classical and modern scholar, this study view that the prohibition of this form of sale of debt is more acceptable. And thirdly, the sale of debt with different price to the debtor as well as to the third party both are not legitimated in the Sharia by obvious texts of the Sunnah. And even though some disagree with this decision, but their evidence are not preferable. So it is comprehended that among the four features of the sale of debt, only one feature, which is selling debt to the debtor with cash price, is allowed, and apart from this, all feature of sale of debt is non-legitimated in the Sharia. However, in Malaysian capital market, selling the debt is practiced as the Sharia Advisory Council of the Security Council of Malaysia permits that, and the practice of selling debt is manifested in Malaysian Islamic capital market through the securitization process as through securitization a debt certificate, which is known as bond, is created. And usually the debt of BBA and Murabaha credit sale is securitized as a form of certificate and finally traded in the secondary market. Therefore, the trading of the debt securities is in fact the practice of the sale of debt. And the security which are traded in Malaysian Islamic capital market on the basis of buy Al-Dayn are named as private debt securities or PDS, asset-backed securities ABS, and Islamic benchmark bond. So, in conclusion, I would recommend that to meet the Sharia compliance and global acceptance, the Malaysian ICM should keep away from the practice of buy Al-Dayn, because the latest development of Malaysian ICM show that the alternative to the debt securities like the ijarah or lease security had gained preference in sukuk issuance. So that was all from me. Thank you.